welcome to the Bender Bunker, your one-stop shop for B-Bender lesson-related videos. And today is what we call Woodshed Day. This is where I strap on the Bender, fire up the amp, kick on the pedal board, and see what the heck comes out. What the Bender gods, the Bender muse, hopes to send my way, if anything. And that's just one lick I've been working on. There's been several today, just don't know where they're going quite yet. But then something started to crystallize out of the midst of all this, the mist of creation. Was no matter what I was doing, I was tending to start all of these runs with what I would consider just straight ahead pedal steel influenced B-Bender intro licks. And I was using different ones, and it just came to me, I was like, why not do a lesson and make sure everyone's got these primary intro licks in their arsenal? Because I really think these are, I'm going to show you three of what I think you really got to have in your B-Bender Twang arsenal if you want to travel down the B-Bender highway. So that was one, the opening one, a very classic. I mean, that comes all the way back from when Clarence did it on the Big Bang of the B-Bender. He passed it on to Marty. I stole it from Marty. I'm ready to give it to you if you don't have it. That's just how this thing works. So that's one we're going to go over. Another one is what I call the granddaddy of them all. This is the lick, the intro lick I hear most from Marty and Clarence and almost every B-Bender player I listen to. It tends to be... So we're definitely going to go over that one. And then finally, we're going to do what I call the Octave Jumper. I borrowed this one from Mr. Marty Stewart, and it goes along the lines of... So we're going to go over those three, because I consider them primary pedal steel influenced B-Bender intro licks that you got to have in your arsenal. And in the course of going over those three, I'm going to throw some slight variations on a theme in there. So you're going to probably walk out of here this lesson with more than three. So if that sounds good to you, and some of those don't sound familiar, and you'd like to go ahead and learn them, then go grab that Bender. Let's get to it right after this fade. All right, well, let's get started. Going over to three pedal steel influenced B-Bender intro licks I think you should have in your arsenal, in my opinion. And we're going to start with what I referred to in the intro as the granddaddy of them all. And we're going to do all these licks today in G, which means we're primarily working out of what we call the twang box shape here in the Bender Bunker. That's just basically the top two strings on the 10th, next two on the 12th. So we're going to be working around that area. In this case, we're starting below it and working into it with this, what we call the grandfather of them all. Let's learn it real quick, and then maybe I'll show you a quick variation on it. Here we go, up close for the hot fretboard action. Now, as I preached on other videos, you definitely want to slide into notes to give it more of a pedal steel sound whenever it makes sense to do so. We're going to start this party by sliding in on the G string, your third string up to the 7th with your index finger. When you get there, you're going to pick it again, so it's a 1-2. And as that's ringing, you're dropping in right next to it, your middle finger on the B string 8th. Your ring finger's over there looking for something to do. It's going to go over to the G string and it's going to slide up again. This is another chance to slide. We're going to slide up to the 12th fret. And then that drops our index finger on the B string 10th. So that's basically the lick right there. Okay, so that's an easy lick. Now, I find that most of the time, to make it even more pedal steely, when I play it, I've developed a habit of doing this. So it's exactly what I just showed you. So when the ring finger slides up to the 12th, before I drop in and note with my index finger the 10th fret on the B string, I actually do a little bit of a bender, and then I hit it and let it down. Not a full bend, it's just a little bit quarter half bend kind of situation, just enough to give it a little bit of that pedal steel sound. So here it is straight, and with a little bend. Again, it's not much, but I think it's subtle but very effective, and I would encourage you to maybe start working on throwing that little bend in as well. Okay, now a couple quick things about this grandfather riff. You know, the twang box, as I mentioned before, top two on the 10th, next two on the 12th. You can just make this the primary shape and you can do that exact same run. So why don't you? It seems like it's an economy of motion. It seems like that might be a better way to do it. Hand never left position. Here's my opinion on why folks like myself, and I see Marty Stewart do it the way down here all the time, is a couple of reasons. One, you get more of what I mentioned earlier, sliding into this lick. There's one slide. There's two slide as you go up to the 12th fret. With this one, you could certainly get that first slide with the standard shape, but it's hard to get that second slide. So I think that's a big part of it, is why you would want to do it the first way I showed you, which is you get that second slide. And the second part is it's also, you know, you're starting here from this D chord shape, which is basically a 3-string way to make a G chord up here. And so another thing it does is it allows you to do a pretty easy access to the top end of your G twang box up here on the 10th fret, the top 2. Right? I'm using my little finger then on the top 2. And that gives you really easy access to what I'd call maybe some of those Ralph Mooney licks. So you get more sliding by going this position, and you also have easy access to the lower part of the twang box with that D chord shape G. So there you have it, my friends, the granddaddy of them all. Play around with it, have fun. If you don't know that one, now you've got it. I'll be back with lick number 2. Okay, up on deck now is lick number 2. It's the one I used in the opening. And I hear folks like Marty Stewart and Clarence use this lick every bit as much as we did what we call the granddaddy lick that we just learned. This is a great second one to have in your arsenal. The way I'm doing it right here is a great way to do faster passages. So let's learn it real quick, and then we can learn some variations. There's less picking to it than you think. So here's what we're doing. We're actually starting the party on our 4th string, the D string. Put your middle finger on the 11th fret, and then what you're going to do is you're going to pick that once, and then roll your ring finger up to the 12th fret on the D. And then what you're doing is your index finger's positioned very well to go to the G string, your 3rd string on the 9th. You're going to pick that, and then roll the 11th and 12th with your middle and ring. So it's one pick and a roll on the D string, one pick and a roll on the G string. So again, that's 11, 12, and 9, 11, 12. Now, you're up there on the G string on the 12th fret with your ring finger. It's ringing. Index finger goes to the B string on the 10th, and then goes back to the still held G string on the 12th. So again, one pick and a roll, one pick and a roll. Then we pick the B string 10th with our index, and then back to the G 12th that we still have held. That's basically the lick. Then go back to the B string or the top 2 that's already covered with your index finger now on the 10th, and start your bending. So that's a real fun lick. It's great for both fast and slow passages. Obviously what I was doing at the beginning was more of the fast pace. But it's also a favorite of Marty Stewart's. He actually uses this exact lick in one of my all-time favorite Bender passages he's ever played, which is Wait for the Morning off his last album. And that's more of a ballad, but it's really just the lick you just heard slowed down, which is... But it's the same lick. He's just doing it slow, where a lot of times he'll just do what I do. It's a very versatile lick. It's how you phrase it. It's the tempo you play it at. And so that's one you got to have in your arsenal, and that's why it's our second primary lick to know, and I hope you just learned it. Now I'm coming right back with the Octave Jumper number 3. Well, all right, you're still with me here as we finish the trifecta of pedal steel inspired B-Bender intro licks. We're going to finish strong with lick number 3, aptly entitled the Octave Jumper, because we start out by jumping octaves on a D note. And the licks along the lines of. So let's knock out lick number 3 real quick here, and we start with the octave jump itself on the D notes. And we do that by taking our index finger, placing it on the high E 10th fret for that D note. And then we take our ring finger, 4th string 12th for the bottom D note. I am up picking both those, and we are starting with a 1-2, the high E first and then the 4th string on the second. So it's skipping the 2 strings in between, which if you don't do that very much, may take just a little bit of muscle memory practice to get it somewhat clean. Alright, so it's 1-2 on the octave jump, and then when we get there, good news, we're going to pretty much repeat what we did on a big part of lesson lick number 2. So muscle memory should kick in there for us along the lines of, right? So it's the 1-2, and then what we do is we pick on the G string, your 3rd string, index finger on the 9th, so it's 1 pick and then a roll. So it's pick, index finger on the 9th, and then we're going to roll the 11-12 on the 3rd string with our middle and ring. 1 pick and a roll. Sounds like we're playing basketball now. Pick and roll. So that's what we got so far. We need those 2 notes. So it's. Now when we get to that 3rd string 12th fret with our ring finger, much like we did before on the second lick, we're going to let our index finger cover the top 2 on the 10th, because the next note we need is the B string on the 10th. And then go back to the 3rd string on the 12th that's still being held by your ring finger. So now we have this. Now of course, the B string and the G string are ringing there very nicely together, because what we've just effectively done with the top 2 covered on the 10th by our index finger and our ring finger on the G string 12th, we've made the top shape of our G twang box. So we're in business. Alright, so here's what we know so far. We start with the octave jump. G string, 1 pick and a roll. B string 10th. Back to the G string being held on the 12th. They're ringing together now. So they're ringing there. Where do we go next? Well, let's go to our high E on the 10th that's already covered by the index. So now we're going back to it, kind of where we started. That's what that sounds like. Now you're ready for a bender. You've already got the top 2 on the 10th covered. I'd say hit those and bend. But you can do whatever you want. So there you have it. All 3 licks, the trifecta of pedal steel inspired B-Bender licks, the ones I say you gots to have in your twang vocabulary. And again, you've got the granddaddy lick. You've got the lick number 2, the faster one. And then of course the octave jumper. Work them into your playing and make them your own. I'm going to go grab a beverage and come back with a couple of those variations I promised you. So you're still with me. You're hardcore. I like it. Well, we're going to do a quick what I call variation on a theme. Let's take a couple of those licks we just learned. Let's change a couple of notes, nothing crazy. Change a little bit of the way we pick it. I'm going to try and show you how you can get a good variation out of the lick you already know, and therefore increase your overall twang vocabulary with the B-Bender. Let's start with the granddaddy lick, of course, the way we learned it. And as you know, we start that by sliding in with our index finger on the G string to the 7th fret. And then we get there, we pick it, and then we go up to the B string with our middle finger on the 8th. All right, let's start this differently. Let's go ahead and just put our index finger right there where it ends up being anyway. So we're on the G string 7th. No sliding this time. Let's put our index finger there. Let's pick it once, slide it down to the 6th fret, back up to the 7th. Sounds like this. back to what we already do with our middle finger on the 8th fret B string. Okay, so what we're doing there is instead of sliding, we're going. Be real quick and deliberate about it. And then of course we go with our ring finger sliding up to the G string up to the 12th. Get there, and then it's B string 10th with our index back to the G string on the 12th still being held. And I am picking those. I'm picking when I slide up, picking the B string on the 10th, and picking again on the 12th where I'm still holding it on the G string. So the original way and the variation, subtle, but adds a whole new flavor. Now let's do another variation on the second one, where that was a lot of pick once, roll with the fingers to kind of get a fluid motion. Let's stop the rolling. Let's just pick everything and change the sequence of the notes slightly and the cadence slightly and give it a little different feel. So we'll do something along the lines of, okay, we're picking everything there and we changed it slightly, but it really is the same pattern you've already learned. So what I'm doing there is, before I was picking on the D string 11th and rolling, I'm not doing that anymore. So let's be clear on this. This variation has no rolling. Everything you hear is about to be picked. So let's go ahead and put our ring finger 4th string 12th, and we're going to pick 12, 11, 12 on that string. And let's learn this real quick. So it's 12, 11, 12, and then we go up to the G string, and that's going to be 9, 11, 12, picking each of those with the index, middle, ring. And now we're sitting there where we usually end up on a lot of these licks, which is our ring finger on the G string 12. Let's pick with the index finger B string 10th, and then go back and pick that G string that's still being held on the 12th. So here we go, slow. And I put a little bit of a pause in there, almost like it's a shuffle. All right, so the original way with picking and rolling. Now this way is kind of more appropriate for a two-step or maybe a slower shuffle. So there you go. It's the same basic lick, same notes, same mentality, just picked slightly different, and you get a whole lot more mileage out of them. So there's your variations on a theme segment. Hey, thanks for making it this far. I hope you take those 3 primary pedal steel inspired B-Bender intro licks and make them your own. Again, they're classics. They've been passed down from Clarence to Marty to the rest of us. And they're definitely ones you're going to want in your twang vocabulary. While you're thinking about it, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. Share it with other B-Bender friends that may not be aware of the Bender Bunker. And why not? How come they don't know about it? This is your chance to tell them. And if you want to see what we got coming up next, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, because I don't know what's coming up next and I run the channel. So stay apprised by hitting the subscribe button. All right, let's end as we always do with our motto. Say it with me if you know it. It is never too late to go on a bender. I hope you do, and I will see you next time. Keep it bent.